from PRX.
Friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, it's time for the podcaster who loves I don't even actually know, well, I guess I kind of know what Dickensian means, in the spirit of Dickens, right? I guess you'd say, let's get in the Dickens, would you say in the Dickens spirit? I guess that'd be like, if you were getting in the Dickens spirit, you'd say, excuse me, spirit of Christmas present, I'd like to, I'm going to hitch a ride with you. I don't know. Well, I'm not a conveyance, sir. Well, you're conveying meaning to Scrooge, correct? Not in this case, sir. Oh, okay, because, yeah, this is a episode of Pickwick Papers. So anyway, I'll be paging through the Pickwick Papers instead of trying to make a metaphor that doesn't work. Welcome to Sleep With Me. If you're new, this is a podcast. This is a Read With Me episode where eventually I'll be reading through a little bit of the Pickwick Papers. But it'll take me forever to get there because it's a podcast to be a friend in the deep, dark night, to keep you company and take your mind off of stuff so you could fall asleep. So it is a bit different, kind of just see how it goes. I'm glad you're here. I really hope we can help. If you ever want to just hang out with somebody and have them talk to you about nothing, you may be in the right place. So welcome to Sleep With Me. What we got coming up is support, so the paying for the show is optional, then a long meandering intro meant to ease you into bedtime, and then reading from the Pickwick Papers. All told to be here over an hour. And I'm really glad you're here. Whether you're new or you're coming back episode after episode after episode, I really hope I can help you fall asleep. Thanks again for coming by. And if the podcast makes your life better on a regular basis, and you say, man, this podcast has changed my life, how can I help? These are the ways you could help the show back for the help it gives you. Thanks. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Helix. And oh boy, am I excited because my Helix is on its way. I took the Helix quiz after I moved. You know, some of my sleeping preferences changed. So I took the quiz. I got matched with the perfect mattress for me and how I sleep, how I like to sleep cool and my needs. You know, but what about you? The winter season is on us. And with it being cooler, are you going to spend more time indoors, relaxing with family, playing games, watching TV? Maybe even if you have a coldy cold, you know, you're really going to want a comfortable mattress then. So it's the perfect time to invest in a new mattress. Helix has you covered. Because we all have different ways we like our mattresses to feel. We all have different sleep positions, you know, different levels of firmness we like. So here's the thing. Take that Helix quiz, helixsleep.com/sleep, because Helix is going to match you with the perfect mattress based on your personal preferences and sleep needs. It makes buying a mattress so easy. And like I said, you know, I like to sleep cooler. I sleep on my side. I sleep on my stomach. But I've developed a fondness for firmer mattresses now. So I was looking for something like that. And the Helix quiz worked it all out for me. I'm just waiting. Every day I hear the doorbell. I'm like, is that my new Helix? So you could be sleeping in a new Helix while I'm sleeping in a new Helix. We'll have one more thing in common. And no matter what this colder season brings, we know we'll both be comfortable. But the best part is Helix always has a deal for our listeners. So go to helixsleep.com/sleep for 27% off site-wide during their Cyber Monday sale. This offer is exclusive for listeners of Sleep With Me. That's helixsleep.com/sleep for this exclusive Cyber Monday offer. 27% off site-wide. Make sure to enter our show name after checkout so they know we sent you. helixsleep.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody. Everybody, Scoots here. And you know, when I wake up in the morning, I try to take some downtime, some quiet time before I get my day started. But as soon as that quiet time's over, my brain's bouncing around. What all the things I got to do? I'm forgetting the things I got to do. I'm jumping from one thing to the other. I try to drink some coffee to boost my focus, but it ends up making me jittery. And I have a couple tools at work, you know, meditation, pausing. It can be a struggle. And I do have a lot to accomplish every day. So I'm always on the lookout. What else can help me focus, get things done, but that doesn't have a downside. And that's what I love about our new sponsor. It solves some of those problems. And I'm talking about Everyday Dose, which is coffee plus benefits. Everyday Dose combines high-quality coffee with powerful ingredients like lion's mane and chaga, collagen, protein, and nootropics to fuel your brain, boost focus, and give you clean, sustained energy all day long. And it's delicious. It tastes just like coffee, but there's no downsides. There's no crash, no jitters, just clean, sustained energy. And then I can get to focusing on what's important, putting you to sleep, right? So if you get those coffee jitters, if you wake up and you say, man, I wish there was something to help me focus on what's important, that tastes good, well, you got to check out Everyday Dose. Right now, get 61% off your first Coffee Plus starter kit, free Peppermint Mocha Creamer Plus for the holidays, and over $100 in free gifts. Plus, enter for a chance to win $100 cash or get your entire order refunded. Visit everydaydose.com/sleep or use sleep at checkout. Thanks, everybody. Hey, everybody, Scoots here. I just wanted to let you know that that we're having a huge sale, 20% off 3 months for Sleep With Me Plus subscribers, new subscribers. You could sign up if you've been on the fence, but you say, man, I heard all those messages you said, Scoots, but I was really looking for a deal as well. Well, we're having a deal now till the end of the year. You can get ad-free episodes, ad-free story-only episodes. You can become a Boar friend or a Boar bestie and save 20% off 3 months at sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/plus. Oh, Mystery Bard. A lot of people help out on the show. Who are they?
Chris Posty Poster Son sounds like an earful. Wrote the theme song. Edits episodes. Carl W. the Legend. Also edits episodes. Ashley, Kenny, Scotty, Jennifer. Eric and the team at Astound are on the website. I am the Mystery Bard. I do the lullabies, yeah. I do commissions at JonathanMann.net. I'll write a song for you. Any reason at all. You can tell me the story and I'll make it personal. You see the kindness shine straight on through when the listeners form their own Facebook group. Keith, Stacy, Sarah, Julie, and Jennifer. These are your moderators. Get support dear Scooter on Patreon. Buy the merch and support the sponsors. You can find anything you want at sleepwithmepodcast.com. And we're so proud that we could dance. Rusty Biscuit, Lois, Hannah like banana. Leah does the transcripts.
All right, hey, everybody, during this holiday season, you should gift yourself the gift of sleep phones with Sleep With Me branded sleep phones. We got a few different ones. And you could get those at sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. That's the only place you could get the Sleep With Me versions of sleep phones. Sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones. And use the promo code SLEEPWITHME at checkout to get a discount. That's sleepwithmepodcast.com/sleep phones and use Sleep With Me at checkout. Thanks, everybody. What do you say we get on with the show? Hey, are you up all night tossing, turning, mind racing, trouble getting to sleep, trouble staying asleep? Well, welcome. This is Sleep With Me, the podcast that puts you to sleep. We do it with a bedtime story. All you need to do is get in bed, turn out the lights, and press play. I'm going to do the rest. What I'm going to attempt to do is create a safe place where you can set aside whatever's keeping you awake. That could be thoughts on your mind about the past, present, the future, thoughts you're thinking about. Feelings, anything coming up for you emotionally, physical sensations, changes in time, temperature, routine. You could be going through something, in the middle of something, getting over something. Maybe you work a different schedule. Whatever it is, I'm here to keep you company and take your mind off of that so you could fall asleep, to be your friend in the deep, dark night. It's a little bit different of a job, right? I'm here to be your boar friend, your boar bae, your boar sip, which I'll explain later. I'm not here to put you to sleep so much. But what I am here to do is try to help. The reason I run through all those different things is because I know what it's like to have trouble staying asleep, getting to sleep, waking up too early, trouble getting to sleep, staying asleep, waking up early, not being able to get back to sleep. or dealing with outside things that interrupt my sleep, or have something coming up that's going to interrupt my sleep, go through something, get over something. I've been through a lot of that stuff, and I know what I guess I already said it. I know what it feels like. So if it feels anything like that for you, or even if it's in that same area where you say, well, it just doesn't feel great, I would like to help if I can, because if I can help somebody else out that it deals with that, or you tell other people and they don't quite get it, right? People that sleep just fine, they say, oh, yeah. Oh, really? Trouble? I wouldn't know. I sleep. I fall. My partner says I fall asleep before my eyes are closed. Hardy har har, and I make noises like I guess I sound like a contraption at night. But oh boy, do I sleep good. Wow, have you tried that? Have you tried falling asleep right before your eyes close? Yeah, no, I haven't tried that because it's never worked for you. I guess you never tried it then. Well, how do I try? Well, what I do is I just I don't know. I think about all the things, how great, how great I'm going to sleep, how great my day was, then I think how great a job I'm doing. And then I say, by the time I say, you're doing a great job, I guess I'm asleep. And then I start making a bunch of noises. It keeps my partner up. So yeah, why don't you try that out? Okay. Could you explain to me how, well, you just got to think about all that, so I just say, you're doing a great job to myself. That works for me. Oh, okay. Now, even if I was open-minded, which it doesn't sound like this part of me is, I'd say, okay, yeah, you know what you look tired today. Would you try that out? Oh, I did try it out. You said you're doing a great job. Yeah, I did. I did that once. Then I did 99 people on saying you're doing a great job. 98 people saying you're doing a great job. One of those person goes around and says that you're doing a great job again, and then there's 97 people saying you did a great job. One of them spins around and says it again, and then there's 96 people saying you're doing a great job. Didn't help me put me to sleep. As a matter of fact, yeah. Oh, well, that's not what I do, so that's why it didn't work. So anyway, I don't want to go too far off topic, but if that ever happens to you, like an exchange like that, you say, I don't feel understood, that anybody gets what it's like for me when I can't sleep, or how it feels in the deep, dark night. That was the concise point I was going to try to make earlier before I went off topic. And that's why I'm glad you're here, because even if I don't understand what you're dealing with and you're going through, there's enough people listening that someone out there does get it. Someone out there has been in a similar situation somewhere in the world. There's enough people listening, and they're really hoping this podcast can help you out like it helped them out. Maybe it does. Maybe it doesn't. Give it a few tries and see how it goes. But then you'll be in that rare company, if you become a regular listener, where you're getting to root for other people who are having trouble sleeping like you do. And that'll be nice. And so, yeah, that's what I hope. And also, the other reason I make the show is that you deserve a bedtime where you could get the rest you need so your life is more manageable, where sleep isn't a rigmarole. It's not a hassle. It's something when you could at least feel neutral about bedtime, or maybe even look forward to it. That's the goal with the show. And then you're getting the rest you need on a regular basis. Your life is more manageable. Maybe you're out there in the world flourishing, and that's great, right? Yeah. And the way I do it is I send my voice across the deep, dark night. I use lulling, soothing, creaky, dulcet tones, pointless meanders, and superfluous tangents. So I go off topic, I get mixed up, then I kind of forget what I was talking. I mean, it just happened, where then I have a conversation with somebody within me. But not like Casper within me, but maybe it is Casper within me. Say, thanks for visiting. Yeah, how'd you arrive at this Dickensian party? Oh, one of the spirits of Christmas future, believe it or not. They said they weren't a conveyance, but they conveyed me here. Did they also convey the meaning of the spirit of the holidays? Oh, did they? Holy cow. As a matter of fact, now that that I mentioned that they said they weren't a conveyance, they certainly did a lot of conveying of old Ebenezer Scrooge. As a matter of fact, I think I'll change this up and just use this intro we'll read a little bit of the Christmas Carol instead. But why don't we just do that? And then every holiday until we finish it, every holiday season we'll read it. Great idea, Scoots. Okay, so yeah, I got to remember that now. What in the McDuck is going on? Yeah, well, I just made it. They said Scrooge keeps coming up, and those spirits of that convey the spirit of the season in past, present, and future. Might as well, try to read that book, right? Yeah, I guess you're right. You're right. Okay, great. Now that that's decided, let's finish introducing this podcast, eh? All right, yes, Sleep With Me is a podcast that's here to keep you company and take your mind off stuff so you could fall asleep. And the first thing you should know is that most people that listen to the show on a regular basis, they find it to be a bit different, right? When you first get here, you're skeptical, you're doubtful before you even start listening to me talk. Because why wouldn't you be? If you've struggled with sleep or you're searching for something to help you sleep, and then you find this show and you're like, what is this guy going on about? It's like I get that email a lot. What are you on about? Not much. I mean, I don't want to take too long to I'm not sure. On about, eh? On about? Well, I was trying to go on about getting a ride within and through one of the spirits of the holiday season, but not in Santa's sleigh, though. Though that I would like, again, I always wonder how cold it is there. Even though I'm tend to be warm up there, I'd say, I don't know, Santa. I mean, it seems like you got mittens, so maybe. He just laughs. I got it covered, man. Never mind. You weren't on my list anyway. Oh, what was I saying though? So if you're skeptical or doubtful, I mean, I'm probably not even on the good. I'm on the good at meandering list for sure. So if you're skeptical or doubtful, just give the show a few tries. That's what tons and tons and tons of regular listeners said at first. They didn't get this show. First, they were like, what is going on here? I thought this was a sleep podcast. And then eventually they started falling asleep. So kind of see how it goes when you're new and say, oh, okay, could this show help me? I'm not sure. The other thing to know is that, just give it a few tries, see how it goes. If you decide the show is not for you or you've already decided that it's not a fit, I have a website set up, sleepwithmepodcast.com/no thank you. That has other sleep podcasts and sleepy stuff on there. So you can still find something that helps you fall asleep. So give it a few tries, see what happens. And one of the things I kind of talked about earlier is this is a podcast you don't really listen to. You kind of listen, or you can listen, but you don't have to actively listen. But you could actively listen, then passively listen, or barely listen. Because it's a bit like a TV on in the other room, a show streaming under your pillow, someone, listening to something, but you're not paying attention. Or a friend that's hanging out with you that's kind of, you say, hey, just talk. I'm not going to totally give you my full attention. They say, great. Okay, that's fine with me. So it is a bit different, right? That does take some getting used to. What else do you need to know? Most people don't like me. You don't listen to, I'm not here to put you to sleep, believe it or not. There's no pressure to fall asleep with this show. I'm going to be here over an hour to keep you company and take your mind off stuff and put you to sleep versus putting you to sleep. Because there's people listening who can't sleep at all, who need a break during the day, or just woke up or whatever it is. So yeah, the reason the episodes are so long is so you don't have to think about if I'm going to be asleep in 20 minutes. I'm going to be here to the very end, whether you're awake or asleep, to keep you company. Because my job is to be your boyfriend, your borbay, your borsib, your neighbor, your borby, your bors, your borman, your Boris Borloff, your best boyfriend forever, and keep you company so you could fall asleep, right? Just to be your friend hanging out with you in the deep, dark night. And then if you need to listen to me, you can. If you don't, you don't need to. So that's another thing that takes some getting used to. The other thing I like to explain at the top of the show is the structure of the show, because this is the version of the podcast that benefits the most amount of people, but you can adjust or how you listen if you become a regular listener, because some people develop preferences. So let me just run through that so I can meet you where you are if you're new. The show starts off with a greeting, friends beyond the binary, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. So you feel seen and welcomed in, and you say, oh, okay, I might check that show out. Then there's support so that paying for the show is optional. And it's actually optional for everybody except for the people that listen the most, who benefit the most, or that fall asleep really fast. So we really need the support of just the people that listen 3, 4, 5 nights a week, who listen all night long, who listen to episode after episode after episode, or fall asleep very fast. And if that's not you, it's not. Don't worry about it. The sad supportive version's for you. Then after the support, totally separate from the support, is a long meandering intro meant to ease you into bedtime and keep you company. And take your mind off of stuff. But the intro is, you'd say, well, can't you introduce a podcast? I mean, somebody can introduce a podcast very quickly. I can't. So, yeah, no, I can't do that. But, most podcast intros are very short and sweet. Mine are somewhat not bad, and I guess they're like semi-sweet, and I mean, semi-sweet chocolate's popular in chocolate chip cookies. So I guess you'd say, yeah, the intro of this podcast is semi-sweet. But the reason it goes on and on and on is like, it follows a familiar structure every time, but every intro is new to keep distracting you, so that whatever it is that is keeping you awake has something new to kind of barely pay attention to. Because I think that's maybe one of the things that works about this show is the effort it takes for me to be here on a regular basis to keep you company. And when I say you, I mean the broader you, all those things that may be keeping you awake, thoughts, feelings, physical sensations, changes in time, all this stuff. Maybe it needs a little comfort and distraction and to hang with me. So that's why the intros are new every time, but they follow a familiar structure. The reason they're like 15 to 20 minutes long, though, is to ease you into bedtime so that you could listen while you're getting ready for bed, while you're in bed and getting comfortable, while you're winding down and chilling out, doing some chill activity, versus something that just meant to put you to sleep really fast. That never worked for me, and everything I read about sleep says that having a bedtime routine is what really works, and that's what works for me most of the time, not all the time. And it's something I look forward to, and I know, oh, okay, at least I got that to look forward to, So, yeah, that's why the intro goes on and on and on and on. To give us some chill time, some wind down time. And if you fall asleep fast or you decide you don't like the intros, you could get or you don't like the ads, you get all this stuff, like different versions of Sean Sleep With Me Plus. But there's also a listener ad-supported version called Bedtime Stories from Sleep With Me that just has the stories. But for most listeners, this is a kind of community time. We kind of hang out and everybody barely pays attention. And I kind of prep us to go off into dreamland. And unexpected stuff happens. Like I thought this would be an intro for the Pickwick Papers. Turns out this wanted to be an intro for the Christmas Carol. Did I call it a Christmas story earlier? I don't know. Don't get crotchety with me, Scoots. I don't know what that means. So Don't go, what was I saying? I think I was listening to, oh no, so that's the intro. Then there's support, then there'll be our bedtime story. So if you're looking for something ad-free, you get that Sleep With Me Plus. If you're looking for only the stories, you get that Sleep With Me Plus or on bedtime stories from Sleep With Me. But yeah, then I'll read through a bit of A Christmas Carol. And then later on, right, like the episode will end, I'll just read for about 45, 50 minutes. And all told, we'll be here a bit over an hour. And I'm really glad you're here. I really appreciate you checking the show out. If you're new, if you're a regular listener, thanks for coming back time after time after time. Myself and the team of people, we love making the show. We work really hard. We earn and we strive. We really want to help you fall asleep. And yeah, thanks again for coming by. And if this show, it puts you in a place where you could flourish and you want this podcast to flourish, like you say, man, I've flourished at my job. I've flourished in my relationship since I started sleeping good because of this podcast. The way you could pay the show back, these are the ways we could use your support back so we can flourish too. Thanks. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, Uncommon Goods. Uncommon Goods puts a joy back in giving. But yeah, the holidays are almost here, and if you still have names on your list, don't worry about it. Uncommon Goods will take that holiday stress away. They have thousands of one-of-a-kind gifts you can't find anywhere else. You'll discover presents that feel meaningful and personal, never rushed or last minute. Uncommon Goods looks for products that are high quality, unique, and often handmade or made in the U.S. Many are crafted by independent artists and small businesses, so every gift feels special and thoughtfully chosen. And you can just go on there. It's so easy. Like, I was thinking of my nephew and his love of musical theater, and then I was like, there's trivia, there's puzzles, there's books. But you could try that with any person in your life. Uncommon Goods has something for everyone, from moms and dads to kids and teens, from book lovers and sports fans to foodies, mixologists, and gardeners. You'll find unforgettable gifts that are anything but ordinary. When you shop at Uncommon Goods, you're supporting artists and small independent businesses. Every purchase is a chance to choose something remarkable and feel good about where your money goes. They've donated more than $3.1 million to date. So don't wait. Make this holiday the year you give something truly unforgettable. To get 15% off your next gift, go to uncommongoods.com/sleep. That's uncommongoods.com/sleep for 15% off. Don't miss out on this limited time offer. Uncommon Goods. We're all out of the ordinary. All right, everybody, it's time to talk about tonight's sponsor, ZocDoc. And I'll just tell you right up front, you got to check out ZocDoc because 2026 is going to be a new year for me, new insurance, new care providers, and I'm so glad I have an option like ZocDoc. You know, because this year is going to be one more year under my, the old experience belt, as they say, the life experience belt. And that means I want to have a good relationship with a doctor I could talk to and trust, whether it's about my sleep issues, issues around stress, or anything else. I just have a question. I say, hey, what about this? Or what about this thing? You know, like I want to be comfortable. I want to feel heard. And I also want to be able to get an appointment with a doctor who takes my insurance. ZocDoc is a free app and website where you can search and compare high-quality in-network doctors and click to instantly book an appointment. You can filter for doctors who take your insurance, are located nearby, are a good fit for any medical need you might have, and are highly rated by verified patients. Once you find the right doctor, you can see their actual appointment openings, choose a time slot that works for you, and click to instantly book a visit. Appointments made through ZocDoc also happen fast, typically within just 24 to 72 hours of booking. More often than not, you can even get same-day appointments. And like I said, I'm going to be using ZocDoc in 2026. It just gives me so much relief with my move, with getting new insurance. I know I've got an option that works. So you should check it out too. Stop putting off those doctor's appointments and go to ZocDoc.com/sleep to find and instantly book a top-rated doctor today. That's ZocDoc.com/sleep. ZocDoc.com/sleep. Thanks, everybody. A Christmas Carol by Charles Dickens, and this one is illustrated by George Alfred Williams. This is the New York Platt and Peck Company. Copyright 1905, Baker and Taylor Company. And the first picture is Tiny Tim getting carried. And a quote that says, he carried Tim all the way around town. Okay, that's the introduction. We're going to skip that. Oh, but it is by George Alfred Williams. That's interesting. Maybe we'll come back to that. All right, A Christmas Carol in Prose. It's a story of Caspery Christmases, spiritual beings from a spiritual realm. Stave 1. Good old Marley. Good old Marley had changed realms to begin with. There's no doubt whatever about that. The register of when he got arrested was signed by different people, authority figures, and even someone who, quote unquote, officially missed him. Scrooge signed that, and Scrooge's name was good upon change for anything he chose to put his hand to. Old Marley was in another realm, just like things like favorite things they no longer make anymore. Like, I can't think of an example, but if you had a favorite treat and they said, "No, we don't make that anymore." He was as good, no longer, he was in your memory, but he was not around like those things. I don't know, but I can't think of anyone. I mean, I was going to say everything I thought of got brought back recently. That was old Marley. Everything old was new again. Now, I don't mean to say that I know of my own knowledge that I'm particularly accurate about anything. I think that's clear. I might have been inclined myself to regard things of the past that I remember fondly but can't remember when I'm called to it, to be part of my trade, if you will. But wisdom, while it's not in my hands, it may be in the hands of those proceeded before me. It's in the simile, and my somewhat empty mind, when put into focus, shall not uncover much, I don't think. But, what I do is important to the people it's important to, that helps out, and not important much beyond that. But you will permit me, therefore, to repeat that Marley, empathetically, that Marley had changed realms, for sure. Certainly he had. Now, Scrooge knew this? Yeah, of course he did. How could it be otherwise? Scrooge and he were partners for I don't know how many years. Scrooge was his bestie. I mean, as far as besties go, business bestie, maybe would be a better way to put it. He was his sole administrator, his sole assign, his sole residuary, his sole friend, and the person who officially on documents missed him the most. As Janet once sang, "Miss you much." If it was signed to "Miss you much," it would have been signed by Scrooge. Now, even Scrooge, but how much could be tough to say, because even Scrooge was not so dreadfully missing him so much because of it. He was an excellent man of business, really, on that day, even the day of official noting of the changing of the realms. He solemnized it with an undoubted bargain. Now, the mention of Marley brings me back to the point where I started from. I think if I could find my way back there, there's no doubt Marley changed realms. That I've stated more than once. Now, this has to be distinctly understood, or nothing wonderful can come of the story I'm going to relate. Because this happens in a world where changing realms is not as playful as it is in a sleep podcast. You catching my drift? If we were not perfectly convinced that Hamlet, for example, his father had changed realms before the play began, then it wouldn't be impressive if it was normalized like a sleep podcast. But it's not normalized. Hamlet was out for a walk, and he said, "Oh, there's a wind up on the ramparts." And I'm just out, out in the dark in a breezy spot, say St. Paul's Yard, for instance. And you say, "Papa, I thought you changed realms." Now, that may be confusing to you, but this is a sleep podcast, right? Now, Scrooge never painted out old Marley's name. There stood afterwards above the warehouse door, because before it said Scrooge and Marley, and so it still said that. Their firm was known as Scrooge and Marley. Sometimes people new to the business called Scrooge, and sometimes Marley, but he answered to both names. It was all the same to him. Marley, Scrooge. You call me Scrooge, you could call me Marley. But don't call me Al, because that's way too far in the future for me to understand the reference. And even then, I might call you Betty, but you could call me Marley or Scrooge. Was Scrooge, he had a lot of strong feelings about shortages, and he worked hard, squeezing, working, and he was a person with, he was a human being, right? Old Scrooge was, hard and sharp as flint, from which no steel had ever put out a flame, secret, self-contained, and solitary as an oyster, or as a sleep podcaster could be sometimes. The cold within him froze his features, nipped his nose, shriveled his cheeks, stiffened his gait, made his eyes red, his lips thin and blue, and his voice was both shrewd and a bit grating, maybe even creaky, maybe with a touch of dulcet before our tale is yet done. Now, frosty rime was on his head, and his eyebrows, and his wiry chin, and his chinny chin, a touch of gray. And he carried his own low temperature always about with him. So it wasn't hot-blooded check it and see. He iced his office in the dog days and saw that it didn't thaw 1 degree at Christmas even. External heat and cold had little influence on Scrooge. No warmth could warm, no wintry weather chill him. No wind that blew bitterer than he, no falling snow was more intent upon its purpose, no pelting rain less than open to entreaty. Foul weather didn't know where to have him. The heaviest rain and snow and hail and sleet could boast of the advantage over him in only one respect. They often came down handsomely, and Scrooge never did. Now, nobody ever stopped him in the street to say with gladsome looks, "My dear Scrooge, how are you? Will you come to see me?" No one asked him to bestow a trifle. No children asked him what o'clock it was. No man or woman ever once in all his life inquired the way to such and such a place. Not of Scrooge. Even the dogs didn't sniff him across the street. They were almost unaware of him when they saw him coming on. They would pull their owners and say, "Hey, let's go the other way. Not that Scrooge." They'd take a break. And then after he passed, they would wag their tail and say, "No eye is better than that eye of old Scroogey Scrooge." Well, they'd say it in a dog voice, so ro-roo, ra-roo, ra-roo-ra, rai, roo, ra-roo-roo-roo, Rouge. It was cute when Scooby would say Scooby-Doo, and Scrooge is almost a tongue twister. Ruby Rouge. And if Scooby-Doo was wearing rouge, it would be even harder to understand. But the thing is, what did Scrooge even care? It was the very thing he liked. Man, this is hitting home, man. Holy moly. To edge his way along the crowded path of life, warning all human sympathy to keep its distance, was what the knowing ones called to Scrooge. Once upon a time, of all the good days in the year, on Christmas Eve, old Scrooge sat busy at work. It was cold. He made a daytime podcast, we'll say, or the version of that podcast, the daytime bugle, wake up a bugle, he called it. It was cold in that office, bleak, biting weather, foggy. He could hear people in the court go wheezing up and down, beating their hands upon their breasts to keep warm, stamping their feet upon the pavement stones to warm them. The city clocks had only just gone 3, but it was quite dark already. It had not been light all day long, and candles were flaring in the windows of neighboring offices, like ruddy smears upon the palpable brown air. The fog came pouring in, and every keyhole was so dense. Without that, although the court was of the narrowest, the houses opposite were barely visible. To see the dingy cloud come drooping down, obscuring everything, one might have thought that nature lived hard by and was brewing on a large scale. The door of Scrooge's counting house was open that he might keep his eye upon his clerk, who, in a dismal little desk beyond, that was shaped like his cube was shaped a bit like a tank, he was copying letters. Scrooge had a very small fire, but the clerk's fire was so very much smaller that it looked like one coal. And he couldn't replenish it, for Scrooge kept the coal box in his own room, and so surely as the clerk came in with the shovel, Scrooge predicted that it would be necessary for them to part. Wherefore the clerk put on his white comforter and tried to warm himself at the candle, in which effort, not being a man of strong imagination, he failed. And then there was a voice. "A Merry Christmas, Uncle." "Gosh, happy holidays," said a cheerful voice. It was the voice of Scrooge's nephew, who came upon him so quickly that this was the first intimation he had of his approach. Intimation, right? Yeah. "Bah," said Scrooge. "Humbug." Now, Scrooge didn't know those words would echo in history. So let's just take a breath to say what he said again. "Bah," said Scrooge. "Humbug." He had so heated himself with rapid walking in the fog and frost, this nephew of Scrooge's, that he was all in a glow, his face ruddy and handsome like a handsome like a Hanson. His eyes sparkled and his breath smoked again. "Christmas a humbug, Uncle?" said Scrooge's nephew. "You don't mean that, I'm sure, old Uncle Pooh." "I do," said Scrooge. "Merry Christmas? What right have you to be merry? What reason have you to be merry? What would any of us have gratitude for anywhere?" said I. "Come then," returned the nephew. "What right have you to be dismal? What reason have you to be morose? You're rich enough." Scrooge, having no better answer already on the spur of the moment, said, "Bah," again. "Bah, bah, bah," and followed it up with humbug. "Don't be cross, Uncle," said the nephew. You could even look in one of the editions to see his nephew there, gently walking down the stair with a basket. But But his uncle said to him, "What else can I be when I live in such a world of fools as this? Merry Christmas. Out upon Merry Christmas. What's Christmas time to you but a time for paying bills? A time for finding yourself a year older and not an hour richer. A time for balancing your books, for having every item in them through a round dozen of months presented against you." "If I could work my will," said Scrooge indignantly, "everybody who comes around with Merry Christmas on their lips should be given coal, not real coal, but fake coal, as a symbol. But, because real coal, it would be valuable. And maybe a piece of holly." "Uncle," said the nephew. "Nephew," said the uncle sternly, "keep Christmas in your own way and let me keep it in mine." "Keep it," repeated Scrooge's nephew. "But you don't keep it. That's not how it works, Uncle Scrooge." "Let me leave it alone then," said Scrooge. "Much good may it do you. Much good has it ever done you." "It's strange. There are many things from which I have derived good, but by which I have not profited, I dare say," said the nephew. "Christmas among the rest. But I am sure I've always thought of Christmas time when it has come around, apart from the veneration, the official part, if anything, belonging to it can be apart from all that, as a good time, a kind, forgiving, charitable, pleasant time, the only time I know of in the long calendar of the year, where people seem by one consent to open their shut-up hearts freely and to think of people around them as if they were really fellow passengers on Spaceship Earth, as it once was called, or still may be called, as a ride which hadn't been invented at this time. But here in London and the greater world, not a group of people on other journeys, but one journey together, full of smaller journeys. Therefore, Uncle, though it has never put a scrap of gold or silver in my pocket, I believe it has done me good and will do me good, and I say, bless it. Meanwhile, this clerk that was working in his tank-like cubicle involuntarily applauded. He wasn't doing a silent clap. He was clapping out loud. But then he became immediately sensible of his impropriety, poked the fire, and extinguished the last frail spark of it forever. "Let me hear another sound from you," said Scrooge, "and you'll keep your Christmas by losing your situation. You're quite a powerful speaker, sir," he said, turning to his nephew. "I wonder if you won't go into some other speechy job. We're making a paper, which is kind of like a podcast here, but it's not called the Happy-Go-Lucky Show, so I'm sorry we don't have any openings for you. It's not called the Christmas is the greatest thing yet. Christmas is the best time of year, and it's clear." "Ha, ha, ha, don't be angry, Uncle. Come dine with us tomorrow." Scrooge said he would see him. Yes, indeed he did. He went the whole length of the expression and said he would see him in that extremity first. "But why?" cried Scrooge's nephew. "Why? Why did you get, what are you, like a mammal? Why do you got to be around all these people all the time?" "Because I fell in love, and I love being around my loved ones." "Because you fell in love," growled Scrooge, as if it were the one thing in the world more ridiculous than Merry Christmas. "Good afternoon." "Nay, Uncle, but you never came to see me before that happened. How come you didn't come to see me when I was me and my partner were first in love? But now you can. Why not give it a reason for not coming now?" "Good afternoon," said Scrooge. I want nothing from you. I ask nothing from you. Why can't we be friends?" Good afternoon, said Scrooge. I'm sorry with all my heart to find you so resolute. We've never had such a quarrel to which I've been made a party. But I have made the trial in homage to Christmas, and I'll keep my Christmas humor to the last. A Merry Christmas, Uncle. Good afternoon, said Scrooge. That's 4 times I've said it. The clock strikes 4. And a Happy New Year, Uncle. Good afternoon, said Scrooge. 5th time, maybe, without a charm. His uncle left the room without an angry word. Notwithstanding, he stopped at the outer door to bestow the greetings of the season on the clerk, who, cold as he was warmer than Scrooge, for he returned them cordially. There's another fellow, muttered Scrooge, who overheard him, my clerk with 15 shillings a week and a wife and a family, thinking about a Merry Christmas. Ridiculous. And as the door opened, letting Scrooge's nephew out, 2 other people came in. They seemed to be merry gentlemen, pleasant to behold, and now stood with their hats off in Scrooge's office. They had books and papers in their hands and bowed to him. Scrooge and Marley's, I believe, said one of the gentlemen, referring to his list. Have I the pleasure of addressing Mr. Scrooge or Mr. Marley? Mr. Marley crossed realms 7 years ago, Scrooge replied. This very night, he said. I think he agreed with me. He said, I'm going to a realm where there's no Christmas at all, where it's not the best time of year. It's no time of year because it doesn't exist. Interesting. Well, we have no doubt that his liberality is well represented by his partner, you, said the gentleman, presenting his credentials. It certainly was, for they had been 2 kindred spirits. At the ominous word liberality, which may have been mispronounced and may still be, Scrooge frowned, shook his head, and handed the credentials back. At this festive season of the year, Mr. Scrooge, said the gentleman, taking up a pen, it is more than usually desirable that we may make some slight provision for the people who aren't as well off as us, who haven't been as lucky as us or privileged as us, and who have even a tougher time at this time of year. Many thousands are in want of common necessities. Hundreds of thousands are in want of common comforts, sir. Yeah, right, said Scrooge. Yeah, right, said the gentleman, laying down his pen again. And what, they don't got jobs, said Scrooge. There's no jobs anymore. There are jobs still, returned the gentleman. I wish to say there are jobs, and what is it, or do you expect people to get paid for just chilling around and wishing one another Merry Christmas? That would be delightful, sir. Oh, I was afraid from what you said at first that something had occurred to stop them in their jobs, real jobs, not imaginary ones like the one I just made up that you agreed to, said Scrooge. I'm very glad to hear that the world still has jobs. Well, under the impression that not everybody, it's, you know what I'm getting at? A few of us endeavor to raise funds for these people, for food and drink and cheer and warmth. We choose this time because it is a time of all others when want is keenly felt and abundance rejoices. What shall I put you down for? 0.0, said Scrooge. 0.0, like in the movies, like the grade for, or 0 for your name. I get it. You're being, you want to be anonymous, eh? I wish to be left alone, said Scrooge. Since you ask me what I wish, gentlemen, that is my answer. I don't make merry myself at Christmas. and I don't want to help idle people be merry. I help to support the establishments I have mentioned. Jobs cost enough, and those that want jobs should go get them. It's work. Well, not everybody can get a job and work. So, said Scrooge. Well, they'd better figure something else out then, and maybe move on. I don't know. I don't have advice for them because I'm not them. Besides, excuse me, I'm not expected to be responsible for everybody in the universe, am I? I don't know. You might know something. I don't know. Nope. It is not my business, Scrooge returned. It's enough for a person to understand his own business and not to interfere with other people's. Mine occupies me constantly. Good afternoon, gentlemen. Seeing clearly that it would be useless to pursue their point, the gentleman withdrew. Scrooge resumed his labors with improved opinion of himself, and it was in a more facetious temper than was usual with him. Or some other word. Facetious? F-A-C-T-I-O-S. Treating serious issues with deliberately inappropriate humor. Flimpit, not Flimpit. Was that a movie with Incredible Mr. Flimpit? Wasn't that a movie? No, it wasn't. It was Mr. Limpet. You knew that, Scoots. You're just being silly. Flimpit. Okay, back to the story. Meanwhile, the fog and darkness had thickened so that people ran around with flaring links, proffering their services to go get before horses and carriages and conduct them on their way, helping one another. The ancient tower, whose gruff old bell was always peeping silly down at Scrooge out of a Gothic window in the wall, became invisible and struck the hours and quarters in the clouds with tremulous vibrations afterwards, as if its teeth were chattering in its frozen head up there. The cold became intense. In the main street at the corner of the court, some laborers were working laboriously, repairing the gas pipes, and were keeping warm around a great fire in a brazier, round which many people and boys and kids and children were gathered, warming their hands and winking their eyes before the blaze in rapture. Now the water plug was left in solitude, and its overflowings suddenly congealed and turned to a misanthropic ice. The brightness of the shops, where the holly sprigs and berries crackled in the lamp heat of the windows, made pale faces ruddy as they passed. Poulterers and grocers' trades became a splendid joke, a glorious pageant, with which it was next to impossible to believe that such dull principles as bargain and sale had anything to do. The Lord Mayor, in the stronghold of the mighty mansion house, gave orders to his 50 cooks and butlers to keep Christmas as a Lord's Mayor's household should. Even the little tailor, whom he had fined 5 shillings on the previous Monday for having too much to drink in the streets, stirred up tomorrow's pudding in his garret, while his wife and his baby sallied out to go shopping for food. Foggier yet and colder, piercing, searching, biting cold. If old Dustin had been out and about trying to warm everyone's nose with the touch of such weather, he would have been very unsuccessful. If he wanted to make everyone's nose cold, though, he would have roared to this lusty purpose. The owner of one scant such nose, gnawed and mumbled by the cold, stopped down at Scrooge's keyhole to regale him with a Christmas carol. But at the first sound of, "Hey, I'm about to warm up and sing a little 'God Bless You, Merry Gentlemen, May Nothing You Dismay.'" But Scrooge was too quick, and he said, "Hit the road, Jack, and don't you come back no more. And don't say anything else." So they left Scrooge's keyhole in the fog an even more congenial frost. Now, at length, the hour of the shutting up of the office of podcast, AM podcasting by print had come to arrive. With an ill will, Scrooge dismounted from his stool and tactfully admitted the fact to the expectant clerk in the tank, who instantly snuffed his candle out and put on his hat. What do you think? Tomorrow's a day where we don't write up AM podcast all day, but the podcast that's not about happiness that's really in print. You think you're going to have tomorrow off all day? Be convenient, sir. It's not convenient, said Scrooge. It's not fair. I guess I could not pay you because it's work. The clerk smiled faintly. And yet, said Scrooge, you don't think me ill when I pay you a day's wages for no work. The clerk observed the fact that Christmas Day was only once a year. Once a year. Right. Every year. A poor excuse for picking a man's pocket every 25th of December, said Scrooge, buttoning his greatcoat to his chin. His chinny chin. But I suppose you must have the whole day off, Mr. Christmas, if you will. Well, you better be here early on the 26th, because there'll be no unboxing for you. Or boxing, or whatever you people do. The clerk promised that he would, and Scrooge walked out with a growl. The office was closed in a twinkling, and the clerk, with long ends of his comforter dangling below his waist, for he boasted of no greatcoat, he went down a slide on Cornhill at the end of a lane of boys 20 times in honor of it being Christmas Eve, and ran home to Camden Town as hard as he could pelt to play a little game. Scrooge took his melancholy dinner in his usual melancholy tavern, and having read all the newspapers and beguiled the rest of the evening with his banker's book, he went home to bed. He lived in chambers which had once belonged to old Marley, and there was a gloomy suite of rooms in a lowering pile of a building up a yard, where it had so little business to be that one could scarcely help fancying it. It must have run there when it was a young house, playing hide-and-seek with the other houses, and forgot to come out of hiding. It was old enough now, and dreary enough, for nobody lived in it but Scrooge, and all the other rooms were let out as offices. The yard was so dark that even Scrooge, who knew every stone, was fain to grope with his hands. The fog and frost so hung about the old gateway of the house that it seemed as if the genius of weather sat in mournful meditation on the threshold. Now, it is a fact that there was nothing at all particular about the knocker on the door, except that it was very large. It is also a fact that Scrooge had seen it night and morning during his whole residence in that place. Also that Scrooge had as little of what it can fancy about him as any man in the city of London, even including, which is a bold word, everybody in town. Let it also be borne in mind that Scrooge had not bestowed one thought on Marley since his last mention of the fact that Marley didn't work there anymore and that he'd changed realms that afternoon. And then let any person explain to me, if he can, how it happened that Scrooge, having his key in the lock of the door, saw in the knocker, without it undergoing any intermediate process of change, not a knocker, but Marley himself. Well, Marley's face, it was not an impenetrable shadow as the other objects in the yard were, but had a dismal light about it, like a bad lobster in a dark cellar. It was not, didn't seem cross at all, but looked at Scrooge as Marley used to look. He's got spectacles and a forehead, and the hair was curiously stirred. as if it got brushed up by some poof of hot air. His eyes were wide open, but they weren't moving yet. And it was colorful. His eyes had a beautiful color to them, and kind of a expression that was puzzling, maybe like the Mona Lisa. As Scrooge looked fixedly at this phenomenon, it was a knocker again, a door knocker again. To say that he was surprised or that it wasn't strange to him or brought some sort of sensation that he hadn't felt in a long, long time, that would be untrue. Made him feel like a child who had been surprised in a sense, even brought him back to his infancy. But he put his hand upon the key he had relinquished and turned it sturdily, walked in and lighted his candle. He did pause with a moment's irresolution before he shut the door, and he did look cautiously behind it first, as if he half expected. Did I ever mention Marley wore pigtails? He half expected to see Marley's pigtails bouncing up and down. But there was nothing on the door, nothing but the screws and nuts that held the knocker on. And he said, "Pooh, pooh," and closed the door with a bang. The sound resounded through the house like thunder. Every room above and every cask in the wine merchant's cellars below appeared to have a separate peal of echoes of its own. Echo, echo, echo. Now, Scrooge was not he fancied himself somewhat of a tough guy, so he fastened the door, walked across the hall and up the stairs slowly, trimming his candle as he went. Now, you may talk vaguely about driving a coach and six up a good old flight of stairs, though, they never said what you have to take. You couldn't drive a set of horses up the stairs anyway. And then taking it down the hallway, past the doors, without making a bit of a mess, right? But there was that's how wide these stairs and hall were, with room to spare. And that's why suddenly, when Scrooge got to the top of the stairs, he thought he saw somebody riding a horse down the hallway at high speed and going on before him into the gloom. And even if he had half a dozen gas lamps out of the street, it wouldn't have lighted the entry too well. But it was dark. But it was definitely dark. But down the hall Scrooge went, not caring for a button. Darkness is cheap, and Scrooge liked that. But before he shut his door, he walked through all his rooms to see all was right. He had just enough recollection of seeing Marley on the door knocker to make him double-check everything. Sitting room, bedroom, lumber room, all as they should be. Nobody there, no knockers, no visitors. A small fire in the grate, spoon and basin ready, and a saucepan of gruel. Scrooge liked to gruel under the hob. Nobody in the room. Double check it all. No, spiritual beings coming to be human, and no human beings coming to be spiritual. Nobody pretending, nobody playing hide and seek. Lumber room as usual. Old fire guard, old shoes, 2 fish baskets, washing stand on 3 legs, and a poker for the fire. Quite satisfied, he closed his door and locked himself in his room, double-locked it, in fact, which was not his custom. Thus secured against surprise, he took off his cravat, put on his dressing gown and slippers and his nightcap, and sat down before his fire to take his gruel. It was a very low fire indeed. Nothing on such a bitter night. He was obliged to sit close to it and brood over it before he could extract the least sensation of warmth from the handful of fuel. The fireplace was an old one, built by some Dutch merchant long ago and paved all around with quaint Dutch tiles, designed to tell a story. There were stories about brothers, stories about adventures and queens and messengers, feather beds and clouds, many other things, butter boats, hundreds of figures to attract his thoughts. And yet that face of Marley came like an ancient story and took over the images in front of his mind, swirling and swirling like Marley's face. If each smooth tile had been a blank at first with the power to shape some picture on its surface from the disjointed fragments of his thoughts, each figure would have had a copy of Marley's head on it. Humbug, said Scrooge, and he marched across the room. After several turns, he sat down again. As he threw his head back in his chair, his glance happened to rest upon a bell. A disused bell that hung in the room and communicated, for some purpose now forgotten, with the chamber of the highest story in the building. It was with great astonishment and with strange, inexplicable sensation that when he looked up, the bell began to ring, but softly it rang, so softly at the outset that it scarcely made a sound. But then every bell in the house began to ring. And this might have lasted a minute or half minute, but it seemed like an hour to Scrooge. The bells ceased. They were ringing like a Christmas Day type thing, so it really irritated him. Then there was like a noise like Santa Claus, maybe even a ho, ho, ho on the roof, as if Santa had arrived, and sleigh bells were jangling. And you may have even heard something like, ho, ho, Rudolph. And Scrooge is like, there's no such thing as Santa Claus. This is ridiculous. They heard the chimney, sounds in the chimney, joyous sounds in my chimney, he said. And he said it again. Is that joyous sounds in my chimney? Ridiculous. And Scrooge said, it is humbug still. I don't believe in Santa Claus. But his color had changed. When with a pause, it came something like he kept hearing, I do have a bowl full of jelly. Ha, ha, ha. And he said, no, that voice is familiar. I know that voice. It's not Santa Claus. It sounds like Marley's voice. And then he saw it, even though he was wearing a red suit. It wasn't Santa because he had pigtails, Marley's pigtails. And beneath the Santa suit, Marley's waistcoat, tights, and boots and tassels, bristling like his pigtail, his coat skirts, his hair upon his head. But he did have a Santa suit and some sleigh bells wrapped around him. In fact, the long bells wagging behind him like a tail. And then a bunch of stuff from work dragging behind that. And he looked like translucent jelly, though, but it also had a form. And he kind of wavered like a bowl full, but he wasn't in a bowl, if you catch my drift. So Scrooge observed him, but he said, it's like he's there, but he's also made of translucent jelly. Now, Scrooge also remembered that Marley once said, Marley said, my mother said, if I eat this much jelly, I'll turn into jelly. Ha, ha, ha. But he didn't believe it then, and he didn't believe it now. Nobody can turn into jelly, this existence or another. Though he looked at this version of Marley through and through, and clearly this version of Marley was standing before him. And while he felt the chilling influence of Marley's warm, kind eyes, he said, wait a second, you got some sort of, is that a fake Santa beard wrapped around your head and chin and a fake wig? He was incredulous and still couldn't believe it. How now, said Scrooge, caustic and cold as ever. What do you want with me? Oh, much, buddy. It was Marley's voice, no doubt about it. Who are you? Why don't you ask me who I was? Who were you then, said Scrooge, raising his voice. You're peculiar for a imitation Santa Claus. He was going to say something else, but he substituted imitation because he felt like it was more appropriate. Well, in my previous existence, I was your partner, Jacob Marley. Wait, can you sit down? Asked Scrooge, looking doubtfully at him. I can. Okay, sit down then, please. Scrooge asked the question because he didn't know whether a person that was somewhat like a transparent jelly could sit down in a chair. And he felt that if that didn't happen, it might make some sort of explanation of something. He thought it would start to make sense for some reason, but Marley sat down in the chair opposite the fireplace as if he was quite used to it. He even let out one of those, as he sat down. You don't believe in me, do you? Said Marley. I don't, said Scrooge. Well, what evidence would you have of my reality beyond that of your own senses? I don't know, said Scrooge. Why do you doubt your senses? Because, said Scrooge, a little thing affects them. Maybe a tummy tum-tum. Maybe I'm already asleep. Maybe it was mustard or cheese, potato. There's more gravy of you or jelly of you than reality of you, whatever you are. Scrooge was not in the habit of cracking jokes or puns like that, nor did he feel in his heart by any means waggish. The truth is, he tried to be smart as a means of distracting his own attention because he wasn't feeling so hot, because it did seem real. And the voice was definitely Marley's, so it made him feel a little bit chill, like the bumpies of Goosey Goose. To sit staring at those eyes that still were like jelly, even for a moment, Scrooge felt played with his mind. There was something real and surreal and unreal at the same time. It affected the entire atmosphere of the room. Scrooge said, maybe I need to close my eyes for a bit, because Marley sat perfectly motionless, relaxed and waiting. Those tassels in his pigtails or ponytails, if you will, were gently moving because of the heat of the fire in the room. You see this toothpick, said Scrooge, returning quickly to the charge for the reason just assigned and wishing, for only a second, to divert his vision's gaze from itself. I do. Well, you're not looking directly at the toothpick. Don't look at me. Look at the toothpick, said Scrooge. I see the toothpick, said Marley, notwithstanding where I'm looking. Piff-poff, said Scrooge. Yeah, I would, I like, I'm going to clean my teeth with it. Humbug, I tell you. At this, Marley laughed like he did have a bowl full of jelly, and he shook like he was a bowl full of jelly, and he rang some of his bells, but Scrooge found it not to his liking at all. But, then the thing was that Marley took off his Santa coat as if it was too warm to wear indoors, and then he took off his Santa hat and his Santa beard and looked exactly like Jacob Marley. Mercy, said Scrooge. What are you doing here, Marley? Why are you bugging me? Man of the worldly mind, replied Marley, or Garley. Do you believe in me or not? I do, said Scrooge. I must. But you changed realms. What are you doing in this realm as a jelly-like being? It is required of every person, Marley said, that the spirit within them should walk abroad among his fellow people and travel far and wide. If that spirit goes not forth in life, it needs to walk among those and bring the joy of the season every night of the year. wandering around and bringing joy. And if you can't find that bowl of jelly within you, maybe you become a being of jelly, a gelatinous jelly-like being full of joy. And your job is to bring happiness to people day after day, night after night after night. And again, Marley laughed like he's a prototypical Santa Claus. What in the hey, said Scrooge. Can you tell me why you have to do this to me? Well, I got these bells, sleigh bells. I can go up and down chimneys just like Santa. I got a pretty good laugh. I got this outfit. I actually have a sleigh and reindeer up on the roof. And I travel house to house, yard to yard, girded in it by my own free will. And it's of my free will that I come here to see you. Is that strange to you? Scrooge couldn't speak, so he just nodded up and down. Well, you would know, you'd know about this. The weight and length of the strong coil you bear yourself. It's full and heavy and long as this 7 Christmases ago. You've kept working on and on and on. It's a ponderous chain. These are heavy bells I wear, but the ones you don't ring at all are yet heavier. Scrooge glanced about him and said, listen, man, Jacob, I don't know what to make of this. Could I take a nap right now, Jacob, and then could we speak some more? If you're still here when I wake up, just a small little nappy poo. Well, yeah, I could do that. I'm here to bring you the joy of the season. I guess time works differently for me anyway. So sure, I have time to spend with you, Ebenezer, my friend, if you will. You lay down and rest your head and imagine me bringing joy to, maybe just to you and not to the children of the world, as you rest your head now, Ebenezer. And I'm here laughing in a joyous way without laughing at all. For your comfort only. Rest now, Ebenezer. Good night. Hey, everybody, this is Scoots. We're having a sale on gift subscriptions to Sleep With Me. So if you want to have someone give you the gift to Sleep With Me, they could save 20% off whichever package they buy. 20% off if they go to sleepwithmepodcast.com/gift. So say, yeah, give me the gift to Sleep With Me, or I'm going to give it to myself. It's changed my life, and I'd love to check out the ad-free episodes, the story-only episodes. I'd love to be a Boar Friend or a Boar Bestie, get those all-night and all-intro episodes. Tell them, or go there yourself, sleepwithmepodcast.com/gift, and get a great discount if this show's changed your life. What could be a better gift than it being around for you next year and having access to all that sweet, sweet bonus content? Thanks and good night.